Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. Join award-winning host Dale Davidson as he interviews the most remarkable people you'll find in the entertainment capital of the world. You'll meet entertainers, sports figures, newsmakers, community and business leaders, and people just like you with stories that'll touch your heart. Now, here's Dale Davidson.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Each and every episode, we bring you terrific guests, and we've done it again. Robert Bortins from Classical Conversations has dropped in from North Carolina here at our studios near the Strip. Thanks for coming, Robert.
Dale, thanks for having me.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Happy to talk to your audience about homeschooling and Christian education and whatever else we get into.
Okay, that's great, and we will. Who knows? I had mentioned off camera that Sam Sorbo, Mrs. Kevin Sorbo, recommended that we talk with you. She's a strong homeschooling advocate, and she said, you're the man.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really nice to meet you. You're CEO of Classical Conversations?
Yes, my mom started it in 1997 when I was going into high school. We had a lot of friends who were homeschooling, and they didn't feel comfortable teaching those harder subjects. So she said, if I help you, will you continue to homeschool? And so we started with 10 people and myself in our basement.
Yeah.
And now we're in 32 countries around the world and translating into 4 languages besides English.
Wow. How many students do you think you have worldwide now?
We have about 120,000 this year.
Wow, that is incredible. Yeah. Your mom has to feel fantastic about what happened here, you know,
Well,
with this company and with homeschooling in general.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been open to the Lord and what He's brought us to. It's been all Him.
Yeah.
And just been open to His leading, and so we just give Him all the glory. But we are very happy to be involved in that, and glad that He chose us to help spread homeschooling and especially Christian classical education.
That's great. Now, your mom was a professional as well, right? What was her field?
So both my parents have aerospace engineering degrees
Okay.
from the University of Michigan. So we say,
Oh, in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to homeschool, but it doesn't hurt.
It didn't hurt in developing the curriculum. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, so we grew up in Seattle, Washington until I was 6. The interesting thing was my mom decided to homeschool us before being a Christian, which back in the 80s, most people were homeschooling for religious reasons.
Right, right.
And so she accepted Christ through homeschooling, the people that she met. And
That's
so I was
great.
like 4 or 5, and I accepted Christ into my life. And then when we were 7, we moved to North Carolina because my dad changed jobs and Winston-Salem area and worked for U.S. Airways and Timco, and that's where I grew up, being homeschooled, playing basketball, and
That's great.
just really enjoyed being homeschooled myself. Went to Clemson University and got an industrial engineering degree. I did that about 6 years, working for Johnson & Johnson and UPS and a small manufacturing company as well. And finally, I decided to come home. Thought I had a good testimony that homeschooling works and you can get a job and be promoted and all of those good things. And then in 2012, 2013, I started working for Classical Conversations and kind of transitioned that CEO role with my mom and myself after a couple years.
And you're the eldest child in the family.
Yeah, I'm the oldest.
So you were kind of the guinea pig on homeschooling, huh?
Very much the guinea pig. So
Yeah.
I turned out okay. Everyone else can't.
And your siblings have had the homeschooling experience too.
Yeah, so that was an interesting thing. The Lord blessed my parents with a lot of kids, but only 4 of us survived. So we have myself and my brother who were born 18 months apart.
Right.
And then there was a bunch of children that were lost. And then 15 years later, we had 2 more brothers.
Oh, okay.
So when John and I were finished with our homeschooling career, my 2 youngest brothers were getting into kindergarten. And you know, if you've ever done something once, you always say, if I could just do it again, I would do it differently.
Yeah.
And so Classical Conversations grew because my mom saw that she did a good job homeschooling us, but she got to do it again. and she knew, the ins and outs and the things that she would
Yeah.
have done differently. So I'm very jealous of my younger brother's education, but also I have a 5-year-old who is now in kindergarten this year with classical conversations, and so all of those things that I missed, I get to do with her. So that's such a blessing.
That's great.
And my other kids.
Let's talk about the curriculum. Classical Conversations has several different levels I read about, usually pretty much based on age. Tell us a little bit about how that developed and what is a classical education so people understand that.
Yeah, sure. So we started, like I said, in high school.
Right.
So my mom, and then we call that the challenge program because it's challenging.
Yeah.
And people learn at different rates, and especially if you homeschool, you ask, what grade are you in? And you never know what grade you're in. So, we called it the challenge program, and that's the rhetorical stage. So that's when you learn to do debate, defend your position, be able to obviously talk to people about Jesus Christ, and just learning all those skills. And then our foundations program is what used to be called grammar school. And so it's called grammar school because you learn the grammar of everything. It's not just English, there's grammar in math, language, science. And so a little kid can learn the periodic table just as easily as they can learn the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song. Well, which one's going to give them a head start later in life? And so our kindergarten through 6th grade is all about learning the grammar of everything. So as their brain develops and they get into the rhetorical stage, they have a strong foundation. And then in between that is the dialectic stage. And so that's essentials. And that's really when you start learning logic, you start putting these facts together. And so in engineering,
you've learned how to think, and then you figure out what you're going to think about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so with classical education, it's really how God designed our brains to work. I mean, there's all this brain science behind it. That Plato didn't have the brain science, but he knew how people lived and how just people learned. And so we've just taken those, last 3,000 years of education, looked at those best practices, which is being reaffirmed by the brain science today.
Right.
And just it's how kids learn. And when you match up how kids learn, and they love doing it, and they accomplish so much versus, unfortunately, modern education is against the grain and really trying to get children to learn in a way that's not natural to them.
Yes.
So we really say classical education is the natural education.
That's interesting. So you incorporate the classical thinkers. So I heard you say, Aristotle and Plato and then as the years go by, different classical thinkers. Even when they're little kids, they learn this stuff.
Well, so the classical thinkers, they'll get more exposure to that in the older years, but we want them to, our students will translate Plato's Latin in high school. But so they need a foundational base, and so that's what they're learning in kindergarten, 1st grade, is they're learning all the endings and the nouns and those type of things.
Right.
So when they go to do these translations and the harder stuff later on, they have information that they're working from. Like one of the things in America, our math is so bad. Like there's all these things like, I don't understand math. We're not teaching kids the basics of math. So they don't know 5 times 3 is 15. And then they try to do algebra, right? And they don't have that basic thing. Well, now they're trying to learn multiplication and algebra at the same time, versus you can learn multiplication at a very young age through skip counting. And then when you get into the higher levels, they're not having to try to learn 2 different things at once because they've already got that foundational knowledge in their head.
That makes sense.
They don't understand it when they're little, but they do understand it when they're older.
That's really interesting. So Latin is the language that you teach them. Why do you teach them Latin? I think I know the answer, but let's hear it.
Yeah. Well, Latin, we teach them because it's the foundational language to so many different other languages, the modern languages, the Romance languages. It's also very logical in how it's laid out. And so learning Latin actually just teaches you how to think about everything else in a logical way, which of course is going to give you an advantage as an adult, being able to understand like how systems work and different things like that.
Yeah.
So you get to learn how to learn a language through Latin. If you want to learn other languages, it makes it easier because you know Latin, and it helps you learn everything else because of how Latin is laid out.
That's really interesting. I wish I had taken Latin, because I did see as I got older how that is the foundational beginnings of language itself. But I'm glad the kids are getting a chance to do that. Let's talk about parents for a minute.
Sure.
It would seem to me that one of the objections, if you will, to the possibility of homeschooling is a parent feeling, I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to teach. I don't have a teaching certificate. You know, how am I going to do this? What do you do to, first of all, assuage their doubts and train them?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of research on this with homeschoolers, whether they have a college degree, a teaching degree, or even just a high school degree. And the test results of their students are very high, off the roof, and there's no statistical difference. So the science behind it just tells us that it's not something that you need to worry about, but that doesn't mean you don't worry about that. The other thing that I always tell parents is don't send them to a school that's going to teach them that they can't teach their third grader, because what you're telling me is you don't feel competent, you know, teaching your first grader, second grader, third grader, you know, whatever grade they're in, but you've already done it once.
Sure.
And you sent them through a system that made you feel unqualified to do so. So let's not do the same thing to them.
Right. Okay.
The main thing is with children is you just got to love them. And children want to learn. God made them so that they try to learn. And the thing with our modern society is that we just suck that love of learning out of them in the government school system. And not intentionally, doesn't, you know, the teachers are great, it's not their fault, but it's inherent to the system because of their view on childhood. And if we just let them be children, and we love them, and we there's all this great curriculum out there that's going to help you homeschool. And that's what we do, is we empower parents to homeschool because of that question.
Yeah. And do you talk with parents, or do you have people who will sit down with parents and talk to them about what they need to know and how they can incorporate classical conversations into their curriculum, their teaching?
Yeah, so the classical conversations difference is we have communities that meet once a week. So once a week, you and your students will get to go with a trained parent who's also homeschooling with our curriculum that's gotten very specific training on teaching other parents. So it's not something you do on your own. Once a week you get together and kind of learn how to teach everything that you're going to be teaching the next week. And we also have webinars, we have free training during the summer that you can go to around math or English, these different subjects, so that you can learn how to teach anything. And so we have a lot of resources for parents who want to homeschool, and they don't have to do it alone. Yeah,
and parents learn stuff they never knew, right? Things that I didn't get, you know, or understand when I was in grade school. I might go, oh, okay.
Yeah, we hear all the time from our parents that they're redeeming their own education because it wasn't something that they were given. And these are very intelligent women and men, but you know, they just realized what type of education they were given when they see what a real education looks like.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We're gonna show at least a couple of clips from stuff I found on your website, and the parents talk about the ancillary benefits, you know, of doing this. And I found it interesting, as I imagine most of them are the moms, you know, most of the teachers are the moms. But the father's saying, you know, I'm closer to my kids because of this. Yeah. You know, we get together at night or at dinner, you know, or at lunch if we're blessed to come home at lunch, and we talk about what you're learning, you know, and then the kid teaches the dad, you know, which is nice too. One of the objections that I've heard is the kids aren't socialized. You know, they think they're being isolated because they're at home all the time, but that's really not true, is it?
No, of course there's all the research shows that that's not true, but I think the thing behind that is they think that they're going to be isolated, and that most of the time we have trouble finding time to do the work, not socialize, and then it's the wrong question. We want our kids to be civilized. I mean, there's all sorts of socialization going on right behind us here in Las Vegas that I don't want my children to be involved in at all. So
we understand.
It's not the right question. It's like, how do you raise civilized kids? And you do that through modeling and mentoring. the poor school teachers, there's one teacher and 30 kids. Well, who are they going to model and mentor after? That 1 to 30 ratio doesn't work. Jesus only had 12 disciples,
right?
And one of them betrayed him.
Yeah, that's right.
So those kids learn from the other kids, and what other kids are they learning from? The biggest, right, or the smartest, and that's why the system doesn't work for socialization, and homeschooling actually does.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of the curricula, extracurricular activities and things like that for the kids, which I think the parents will find fascinating. We'll be back with Robert Bortins of Classical Conversations right after these messages.
My favorite thing about Classical Conversations is the people. You think that you're getting into a great educational program, and you come across all of these amazing parents and families. Some of the best friends that I've ever had in my life, I know them because of Classical Conversations. The education is wonderful, but it's almost secondary to the amazing benefits of the people. It's amazing the bonds that we've built over these last 5 years. Really, at the end of the day, we want our kids to have an amazing education, but we are sending our children into this world, and we want our kids to be able to stand toe-to-toe with this world and be able to defend their faith. CC really, really, really helps you to get that foundation. I love that they are getting, they have a safe place to explore their faith, and that biblical worldview is being reinforced. What we're doing at home is what's happening in the classroom. How important is it to you to be involved in your child's education? How important is it to you to instill your values in your child? How important is it to you to be a part of something that's a little bit bigger than you? How important is it to you to have your child be a part of something that's just a little bit bigger than them? Everything that I wanted for my children's education, every question I asked, Classical Conversations was the answer.
Dale Davidson and the team at Las Vegas Tonight firmly believe that the only solution to today's serious problems is the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. Dale carefully selects his guests on the show, making sure that their dedication to our Lord is heartfelt and genuine, and that their ministries are making a strong and positive difference in the world. Dale doesn't charge anyone to be on Las Vegas Tonight. The cost to produce and air the programs are covered by donations from our ministry's partners. We thank you so much for your financial support, and most of all for your prayers. Please consider becoming a partner of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries for just $40 per month. For a little more than $1 a day, you'll be helping us bring the good news of Jesus Christ to millions of people around the world. The television networks that broadcast the program reach from coast to coast in the United States, and through internet apps cover the entire world. Your $40 monthly contribution entitles you to Dale's newsletter that gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the production of Las Vegas Tonight and inside information on the exciting guests Dale interviews on every episode. You'll also receive a copy of Dale's book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, an in-depth look at 10 of Dale's most intriguing guests, plus a very personal story of how Dale came to Christ and the challenges he faces in bringing the good news to the world. Become a partner of our ministry today by going to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries website and clicking on the donate button, or by emailing Dale at dale@lasvegastonight.tv, or you can write him at Dale Davidson, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Thank you for watching Las Vegas Tonight, and may God bless you abundantly.
The Lord has made it possible for our show, Las Vegas Tonight, to thrive. We've produced well over 300 episodes telling the remarkable stories of Christians who have set out to change the world for the better. It's my honor to lead this ministry. As the founder of Dale Davidson Ministries, I'm commanded to be a good steward of all the donations our partners have so generously provided to us. As you can imagine, it takes a great deal of money to keep this program on the air in the United States and around the world. Please prayerfully consider making a one-time donation or becoming a monthly partner of Dale Davidson Ministries. Just go to vegassaints.org and select Make a Donation, or send your check or money order made out to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117. For more information, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. We're very pleased to have with us Robert Bortins of Classical Conversations. Robert, thanks for coming once again. We appreciate your stopping by. You got a meeting? You got meetings here in Las Vegas? Is that why you're here?
Yeah, we have meetings here in Vegas. Like I said, we're a worldwide organization, and so we have local homeschool moms and some dads that will help you get started homeschooling. And so we're here training them on just the products and the programs that we have so that they can train and tell other people about it. And so,
that's good. You know, that one-to-one, even at the parent level, is so key, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, most of us weren't homeschooled growing up, and so we're trying something for the first time. And so I heard the saying once, let your taillights be someone else's headlights.
Yeah.
And so that's what we try to do, is we teach these local parents who are kind of forging ahead and trying to homeschool. And we teach them how to teach the next person how to do it as well.
Oh, that's good. And I imagine some friendships are forged, huh? Between these parents.
Beautiful friendships. All the time we hear, you know, I met my best friend in Classical Conversations, or I would have stopped homeschooling if I wasn't for Classical Conversations, and just the fruitful relationships that have been built between mostly moms helping other moms.
Oh, that's nice. Let's talk about, I mentioned before we went to break about extracurricular stuff, and you mentioned that you were participated in sports when you were homeschooling. How did that all happen?
Yeah, so we had a homeschool team, and we were in a private sports league. And so we played the other small private schools in the area, and we had men's and women's basketball, volleyball, baseball, and track. And now they have football and golf and all sorts of other
That's great.
sports. It's kind of funny because all the individual sports stars now, like Simone Biles and those type of people, they're all homeschooled because you can't compete at that high level and go to school 8-10 hours a day and be in a building, right? You need to be able to get your work done and then go work on your craft. And so there's a lot of high-level athletes who are choosing to homeschool so that they can work on their sports. So.
You know, and that was the case with child stars, actors and actresses. And they didn't call it homeschooling then; they called it tutoring.
Sure.
But it was the same idea, and you can get through the curriculum. And how long? Typically, a typical day, how long will it take?
About 3 hours.
About 3 hours, yeah. And that's good. You know, that gives you an opportunity to do lots of different things with your lives. The pioneering homeschool parents really had it tough, didn't they? It was considered illegal in many states. I saw on some of the videos on your site stories about how the parents would keep the kids in all day so the truant officers wouldn't catch the kids out, and that's all changed now. Is it legal in all 50 states in the U.S. now?
Yeah, so homeschooling is legal in all 50 states. 1993 was when the last state officially recognized and legalized home education. So we think that we live in a country called the land of the free, home of the brave, but the ability to educate your children in a manner that you see fit was illegal. So, I mean, that's kind of a scary proposition, and something that we just need to keep making sure that homeschooling stays legal, because as long as homeschooling legal, then your private schools are going to stay legal. But if they ever try to take away our right to privately educate our children at home, then the next step, of course, is going to be the private Christian schools.
Yeah, that's really very interesting. There's a political aspect to this. Do you, as CEO of Classical Conversations, get involved with lobbying with Washington and issues like that?
We do a little bit. There are other organizations like Homeschool Legal Defense Association, Alliance Defending Freedom, and so we support those organizations.
Oh, okay.
And then if we can help them, they'll have like an alert, hey, please contact your congressperson about this or that.
Right.
And so, of course, we'll do that, and then we'll also make sure that our parents know about it too. So if they want to get involved, they can, and they know about what's going on.
Okay.
And my mom is actually going up to Washington, D.C. in a couple weeks to meet with the new religious freedom czar. I'm not sure what they're calling him,
the
but
coordinator.
Coordinator,
or
yeah. So
in the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're going to meet her, and a group of Christian business owners are meeting with him. Just let him know about what our needs are, especially with the attacks coming from the left, and saying that we can only be Christian on Sunday morning and on Wednesday night when we're in church, and we can't live as Christians on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the marketplace.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a real challenge and something that we all need to be vigilant about. Let's talk about joining homeschooling in midstream.
Yeah.
Say we have parents whose kids are already in middle school or maybe even high school. Is it possible for them to join the homeschooling revolution at that age, or is it too late?
Yeah, no, it's possible to join at any time. We have people join as seniors who are in public or private school.
Really?
Up to 11th grade, and they find homeschooling, or their parents feel called to it, and they've started with their younger kids. And a lot of times what we hear is these older students, the parents have started with their younger kids because they're like, oh, well, you've already done through 9th grade or 10th grade, you can just finish out here. And the kids are actually seeing what type of education their younger siblings are and asking to be homeschooled. And so, I mean, it's always best to start out, in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade time, but it's never too late, and you always have an opportunity to gain that level of learning and really be able to focus on what makes you tick and what hobbies or what you want to do with your life. I think that's the best thing about homeschooling.
Yeah.
It's all that free time. Like, money cannot buy time, right?
Sure.
And you have these kids, 1st grade to 12th grade, and what do? We suck up all their time.
Yeah.
And that's just such a disservice to them. Versus like homeschooling, I wanted to be an engineer.
Yeah.
And so when I was 16, 17, and 18 years old in high school, one day a week, I worked for a local engineering company.
Wow.
And then I worked full time during the summer. So I was able to save up for college. I was able to get almost 2 full years of engineering experience before I ever took a course. And so when I went to apply for jobs out of college, I already had a resume with all these different projects on it versus my peers who were in an institution, 8 hours a day for 12 years, they didn't have that type of job experience. And so that gave me a leg up and got it so I could get a job with a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah, and that proves the socialization aspect of this thing is a fallacy, when you say they're not socialized. Homeschool kids are always winning the spelling bee and the math bee and really performing well on all the standardized tests.
Yeah.
Records are being set with the ACT and the SAT scores. Always seems to be homeschoolers. So are they smarter? Are they smarter than regular kids?
No, not at all. It's so funny because a lot of times people start homeschooling because their kids aren't getting good grades.
Yeah.
And it's because really we're not designed to sit in chairs 8 hours a day. I mean, they're calling sitting down the new smoking because of how unhealthy it is for you. And we have this ADHD epidemic. Well, kids aren't supposed to be sitting down. Of course. You got to medicate them to get them to behave like that. So, I mean, it's just not healthy for the kids. And so homeschoolers are just average, but they have a great education because they get to focus on it. If it's something that they're good at, then they can move ahead. If it's something that they're struggling with, they can spend more time on it. Versus if you're in a class with 30 students, I mean, you got 45 minutes, and then you got to move on to the next one, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
And so the system is inherently designed against children.
Why do you think that is? How did that all happen? Does it go all the way back to Dewey designing the modern government school? Or
Yeah, I mean, they always say, whenever you say something bad about the public school system, that you think it's about, people accuse you of not loving teachers. I love teachers. They have an impossible job because they're not in a system that is going to support what needs to be done. And so for me, it's just, so some of it's Dewey, some of it's just the need to mass educate. So we have this idea that we need to mass educate everyone, and we're mass educating them for these industrial revolution jobs where they had to be willing to sit there and push a button, for 8 hours a day. And so how do you get people that are willing to do that? Well, you sit them down for 8 hours a day, you make it so that they don't have a love of learning. So they did all of these things, not necessarily intentionally, but because of their worldview.
It was a byproduct of it.
It was a byproduct of it.
Yeah.
And so they didn't believe that children were made after the image of God. And so if you just believe that children are made after the image of God, and then you design around an education for the kid instead of an education designed around the system and the system's needs, you get much better results, not surprisingly.
Yeah. You've mentioned the Lord, and you are a Christian. We all are. How do you integrate the Bible into the other subjects? Is it something that's natural that you can, even during math, there's something that applies in the Bible, or how does that work?
Yeah. So I think the idea of it being natural is it is natural. God created the world. He tells us about it in Genesis. He tells us multiple times in the Bible that you can know God by just looking around and seeing His creation. And so modern education has taken that out, right? And has taken God out of it. So you can know God, math. Math is how He wrote the universe, right? That's what He's done.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can learn about God through all of these subjects. But what's not natural to us, because we weren't taught that as little kids, is how to do that. And so that's one of the things that Classical Conversations does for our tutors and for our parents, is to teach them how to do that natural integration of God being in math, God being in science, history, English, all of the subjects glorify God. And so it's just taking that mentality and taking the center of education, not being the student, but being about knowing God and the Creator that loves us and sent His Son to die for us.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. So you can actually teach the parents, have a look at this book in the Bible when you're teaching this, because there are parallels. I mean, very specific stuff like that.
Yeah, we do have some of that, and we do that as well. But just a general of, like, you're doing a math problem, and what does this tell us about God? Okay, it tells us that He's orderly. It tells us, this and that. And so helping them learn to ask good questions. And that's really what teaching is once you get into the middle school and high school. We have a great curriculum, but what we do with the parents is teach them how to ask the right questions so the students learn how to answer them well.
That's interesting. Do you think the kids love their parents more or less? Because this is a crazy kind of question, but they're really leaning on them. We're with you all day long, and we're watching you, and we know when you've done your homework and when you haven't done your homework. Is that difficult for the kids and their relationship with mom and dad?
It depends where they're coming from. I mean, if they're coming out into homeschooling later in life, there's sometimes some behavioral issues that you have to work through. Just with that dynamic and it being a new dynamic. Anytime you start working with someone closely, you got to kind of learn each other's tics and talks. Kids who are homeschooled from the beginning tend to, that's what they know.
So so they're comfortable with it.
Yeah, they're more comfortable with it. So I don't know that they love them any more or less, but I think they get to develop a closer relationship many times through homeschooling. There's always the anomaly that didn't do it, but in general, we survey our families and we survey our students, and ask them about the relationship they have with their parents.
Oh, you do?
And the relationship with Christ, and we always get very spectacular results.
Yeah, I want to hear more about the research, but we're going to take another brief break. We'll be back with Robert Bortins of Classical Conversations right after this.
Dale Davidson and the team at Las Vegas Tonight firmly believe that the only solution to today's serious problems is the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. Dale carefully selects his guests on the show, making sure that their dedication to our Lord is heartfelt and genuine, and that their ministries are making a strong and positive difference in the world. Dale doesn't charge anyone to be on Las Vegas Tonight. The cost to produce and air the programs are covered by donations from our ministry's partners. We thank you so much for your financial support, and most of all for your prayers. Please consider becoming a partner of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries for just $40 per month. For a little more than $1 a day, you'll be helping us bring the good news of Jesus Christ to millions of people around the world. The television networks that broadcast the program reach from coast to coast in the United States, and through internet apps cover the entire world. Your $40 monthly contribution entitles you to Dale's newsletter that gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the production of Las Vegas Tonight and inside information on the exciting guests Dale interviews on every episode. You'll also receive a copy of Dale's book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, an in-depth look at 10 of Dale's most intriguing guests, plus a very personal story of how Dale came to Christ and the challenges he faces in bringing the good news to the world. Become a partner of our ministry today by going to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries website and clicking on the donate button, or by emailing Dale at dale@lasvegastonight.tv, or you can write him at Dale Davidson, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Thank you for watching Las Vegas Tonight, and may God bless you abundantly. A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you.
The Lord has made it possible for our show, Las Vegas Tonight, to thrive. We've produced well over 300 episodes telling the remarkable stories of Christians who have set out to change the world for the better. It's my honor to lead this ministry. As the founder of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries, I'm commanded to be a good steward of all the donations our partners have so generously provided to us. As you can imagine, it takes a great deal of money to keep this program on the air in the United States and around the world. Please prayerfully consider making a one-time donation or becoming a monthly partner of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries. Just go to vegassaints.org and select Make a Donation, or send your check or money order made out to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For more information, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. We've been having a fascinating conversation about homeschooling with the CEO of Classical Conversations, Robert Bortins. Robert, you mentioned research quite a bit when
Right.
we talked in the first couple of segments. Who does your research? Is it independent research? And how do you use the research?
Yeah, so there are two different things. One, we have personal research of our own students, and we do that ourselves, and
Right.
we try to use the best scientific method that we can. And there's always, issues with sample size and things like that, but we feel like it's consistent over time, so it gives us a good indication that it's accurate.
Yeah.
And then there's third-party researchers. There's a guy in Vanderbilt. There's a group called NHERI that do research on home education. And then the government does research on home education as well.
Okay.
And it's amazing, all the research points to great results. That these average parents with average students, no different than any of our listeners or viewers, can achieve when you do something that aligns with students and aligns with God.
Isn't that an amazing thing? When you think about the past and one-room schoolhouses, for example, and small class sizes because they were only a few farm kids in an area. This really is back to the future in a lot of ways, isn't it?
Yeah, so we model ourselves after that one-room schoolhouse, especially in the grammar, our foundations program,
Yeah.
where you could have first graders and third graders in the same classroom, doing the same work, just doing it at a deeper level. And so that really, it's about community, and it's about having an opportunity to learn. And it's great for the older students because they get to help their younger students out. And we all know that if you teach someone something, you know it better.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And then the younger students get to see that these older students are taking it seriously and enjoying themselves. And so it just becomes a natural part of their life.
Yeah.
And we know that all the research shows a good class size or a good discussion group is 5 to 7. If you look at like business research, they suggest, one manager manages 8 people, and these are professionals with degrees, trying
Yeah.
to work together,
Sure.
not disinterested students. And so a classroom size of 1 to 20 or 1 to 30, like you see in the government systems, which is necessary because of costs and all the other stuff, doesn't reflect any research, best practices in any part of humanity.
Yeah. The weird thing is, my mom was a school teacher, and I had aunts who were school teachers, and I have friends who are in the public school system now as teachers, and I really feel for the teachers today because of the class size and other things that are obvious, but also, well-intentioned programs like No Child Left Behind and that sort of thing that are all test-based. Has caused them to have to teach to the test, right? Which is not necessarily learning.
No.
It's rote. And the other part is, my friends who are public school teachers say, I sometimes are at school until 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night just filling out this software, It's really crazy how bureaucratized it's gotten.
Yeah. So my wife is or was a public school teacher before we got married.
Oh, is that right?
For 8 years, she saw 250 to 300 students a day.
Wow.
And so, she loved teaching, she loved those kids, but you only have finite relationship time, and trying to pour your heart out to 300 different individuals on a daily basis is just impossible.
Yeah.
And so I really feel for the teachers. And the funny thing was about the bureaucracy, she was a PE teacher, middle school,
Right.
and her school district signed up for a Michelle Obama grant where they got heart monitors for all the kids in PE. And so they all had to wear, unbeknownst to them, they just threw it on her. And so they wore these heart monitors, and their grade was supposed to be based on this heart monitor. Now, the kids who were obese would walk one time around the gym. The heart monitor would get so high that they would be required to sit out the rest of gym class. The athletes who take 45 minutes just to warm up could never get into the heart monitor range.
Because they had a slow heartbeat.
Yeah, so the athletes were failing her class, and the kids with obesity were doing one lap and saying, okay, now you got to sit down for the next 45 minutes because your heartbeat's too high. And what is that telling those kids? The kids who are obese, who probably needed a little bit more exercise in that life, are told, no, don't exercise, it hurts your heart. And the kids who were healthy and athletic were told, you're failing PE because you're not meeting this heart monitor.
That's crazy. I never heard of that before.
Of course you don't hear about that stuff. You only heard that Michelle Obama was trying to help people lose weight.
Yeah.
Through technology.
Yeah.
And it was just, my wife got her hand slapped because she wouldn't fail her athletes.
That's crazy.
But she couldn't really do too much for the obese kids because of program, and she was pretty much forced to have them sit out, even though it would have been much healthier for them to have been participating.
That's an amazing story.
But I'm sure that's everywhere.
Yeah, right? that kind of stuff, because of the government tie-in, and the fact that it's tax supported, is an epidemic.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I can testify personally as to the good behavior of homeschoolers. I mean, kids are kids, and kids do kid stuff. But I teach at a Catholic university on a part-time basis, and about 60% of the kids are homeschooled.
Oh, wow.
And what's really
homeschool kids can get into college?
They can get into college. It's amazing, and they test really well, so we get good students. But I noticed when I first started there, I called them throwbacks in a nice kind of way, because they showed up and it was yes sir, no sir. They were polite. The boys at the beginning, after I told them you don't have to wear a tie, were wearing ties. Yeah. There was very little purple hair. This sort of thing. But the kids, I didn't see any difference between the kids in their learning skills or what they had absorbed,
right?
Even from expensive prep schools versus the homeschool kids. But I did notice a difference in the behavior. Have you seen that? Have parents talked to you about how that's a nice side benefit to homeschooling?
Yeah, well, we get a lot of our customers because they see little Johnnies behaving in church. And so they go ask their moms, like, how does little Johnny behave so well? They're like, oh, we're homeschooling and we're using classical conversations.
Yeah.
And they're seeing the behavior of their kid, and it's not the kid's fault, but they're learning from 29 other kids how to behave.
Yeah.
Because that 1-to-30 ratio just doesn't work out. And so it really helps with the behavior, because if you're going to homeschool your kid, you're going to want them to behave a certain way. And so you're going to put some energy into making sure that they are respectful and say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
And even that's controversial now, calling people sir and ma'am here in the United States. So it's a blessing. And we hear it from professors, too, such as yourself, about our students, and even against highly costly prep schools, and our students stand out.
Yeah. They really do, and that's an astonishing part of it. They're generally speaking better writers. That's what I've noticed with public school kids and prep school kids. Their writing skills are not where they should be when they start as freshmen in college. And the homeschool kids seem to be better. They must be doing more essay work in classical conversations. Is that right?
Yeah, we do a lot of writing, starting in middle school with a program called IEW, and then in high school called LTW. And it's
what does that stand for? Learn to Write?
Institute Excellence in Writing, and they're just amazing programs, and they just teach you the fundamentals of writing by modeling. And that's what we all learn, is that modeling.
Yeah.
And you just don't get that in other systems. And it was funny because we had a student tell us, she was in her English class, and the professor was disappointed with all of the first papers and said, everyone needs to come and see me about their papers. And so, being the homeschool student, she was, of course, the first one in his next office hours, and he looks up from the desk and says, why are you here? And she goes, you told us all to come talk to you about your papers. She goes, oh, I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to everybody else. And 2 weeks later, he had basically given her an A in his class and made her the TA grading everyone else's work, because he said, you're not going to benefit from doing all these writing assignments. It'd be more beneficial for you to help me grade them and those things. So,
wow, that's great.
just good testimonies, and that's just an average girl who went through our writing programs.
That's amazing. Communications is key. The other thing that I wonder about with homeschooling versus public schooling, and that is presentation skills. Often teachers, certainly in speech class and other ones like that, they learn how to stand up and speak. Is there a portion of the curriculum where kids get a chance to make presentations and give speeches and debate and things like that?
Yeah, that's absolutely one of the things that a lot of our parents love is starting in kindergarten. They do a speech every single day, every single week.
Wow, is that right?
I mean, obviously the kindergarten is just taking their favorite animal, and and not only we do that, but then we teach the other students how to listen and ask good questions. And so with the little kids, I was like, well, where did you get your little bear?
Yeah, that's right.
And of course, then we have debate, we do mock trial, all sorts of different things for the older students.
Oh, that's great. Because I've found in talking with employers, because I teach business courses, and I talk to employers about what are you looking for. That's a key thing, is do they have presentation skills, or are they scared to death to stand up in front of people because they're going to have to, in business.
And that's always a funny thing about the socialization question,
Yeah.
because it's forced association in government schools, right? You're 30 students in a class. You have to get to know these people, but you don't have any, motivation to other than you're sitting next to them.
Right.
When you're homeschooling and you want to be friends with someone, you don't have 30 people in your class, so you have to go learn to talk to people and look them in the eye and learn
Shake
to listen to
hands
them and all of those
yeah.
different things. And so you're actually gaining those skills through homeschooling. And so when you pair it with, classical conversations where we're doing a conversation in high school, I mean, it's sitting down, talking about math, working math problems together, talking about Latin history. It's all about discussion and learning those skills. And so we find, our students are excelling in the workforce. They excel in college and they excel in the workforce.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That truly is wonderful. We're coming toward the end. An hour is raced by, believe it or not. I wonder whether you'd like to look in your cameras right over here and tell people how to get in touch with you. Tell us about the website, email, whatever you want to do to encourage people to get involved.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, you can go to classicalconversations.com and find out all about classical education, and if we have programs in your area. We're in all 50 states. We're in 32 countries, so there's a good chance that we're in your country. You can always email international@classicalconversations.com. If you are in a foreign country watching this and want to learn more about homeschooling, we have local information meetings and open houses, so you can go see what a classical Christian education looks like for free in real life in your area. And so again, just go to classicalconversations.com, or you can email us at customerservice@classicalconversations.com. And you too can give your child a great education.
That's wonderful. And I Googled you, and not only saw that, but a whole bunch of YouTube videos are there.
Yeah, go to our YouTube page, Classical Conversations, and
you have a Facebook page too, I think.
And Facebook page, and probably Pinterest, and
I
think we even have Twitter. But
it's hard to say everything you want to say about homeschooling in 280 characters. But then that Twitter is a challenge anyway. Well, thank you so much, Robert. Robert Bortins. Yeah, it's really nice of you to come in, and God bless you for your work.
Yeah, God bless you and your ministry.
Thank you very much. Robert Bortins of Classical Conversations, please get in touch with him. They're doing a wonderful job and have been for 20 years. Wow, homeschooling is just a terrific thing. And as I say each and every show, when it comes to Jesus Christ our Lord, please walk with him. Bye-bye. The Lord has made it possible for our show, Las Vegas Tonight, to thrive. We've produced well over 300 episodes telling the remarkable stories of Christians who have set out to change the world for the better. It's my honor to lead this ministry. As the founder of Dale Davidson Ministries, I'm commanded to be a good steward of all the donations our partners have so generously provided to us. As you can imagine, it takes a great deal of money to keep this program on the air in the United States and around the world. Please prayerfully consider making a one-time donation or becoming a monthly partner of Dale Davidson Ministries. Just go to vegassaints.org and select Make a Donation, or send your check or money order made out to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117. For more information, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you.
Dale Davidson and the team at Las Vegas Tonight firmly believe that the only solution to today's serious problems is the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. Dale carefully selects his guests on the show, making sure that their dedication to our Lord is heartfelt and genuine, and that their ministries are making a strong and positive difference in the world. Dale doesn't charge anyone to be on Las Vegas Tonight. The cost to produce and air the programs are covered by donations from our ministries partners. We thank you so much for your financial support, and most of all for your prayers. Please consider becoming a partner of Dale Davidson Ministries for just $40 per month. For a little more than $1 a day, you'll be helping us bring the good news of Jesus Christ to millions of people around the world. The television networks that broadcast the program reach from coast to coast in the United States, and through internet apps cover the entire world. Your $40 monthly contribution entitles you to Dale's newsletter that gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the production of Las Vegas Tonight and inside information on the exciting guests Dale interviews on every episode. You'll also receive a copy of Dale's book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, an in-depth look at 10 of Dale's most intriguing guests, plus a very personal story of how Dale came to Christ and the challenges he faces in bringing the good news to the world. Become a partner of our ministry today by going to Dale Davidson Ministries website and clicking on the Donate button, or by emailing Dale at dale@lasvegastonight.tv. Or you could write him at Dale Davidson, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117. Thank you for watching Las Vegas Tonight, and may God bless you abundantly. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world. You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with Dale Davidson. Send your tax-deductible gifts to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117. Or call 702-480-3989. Thanks for watching.